Hello, welcome to the back half of my allotment in more detail. These are Alderman peas, all 10-11 feet of them, set off in March in compost, any old compost, in a coal frame, and planted out perhaps 4 or 5 weeks after, 2 to 3 in a pot, always lined the soil as well before that, and some fresh compost in the box. We go on to this bed. I still don't have the hoops on this, it's a job for this winter. At the end we see courgette gold rush, again set off in coal frame, or germinated at home actually, and put in a coal frame as soon as it came up. Gold rush, some coriander which I'm collecting for seed. We have some tatsoi red, set off in a tray, then separated out into smaller 3 or 4 inch pots in compost, and then put them out. I've already had a harvest of that. Rat's tail radish, 3 or 4 in a seed, and I might add, for all of these I set them off all under cover in trays, and then either moved to pots and waited for the weather. This is a Thai variety. This is Patkanar in Thai, or Gai Lan, K if you want to spell that and search it up, or Chinese broccoli. Celtis, first time I've done this. I think this is ready with the stem down there. The base of the alderman I just fill up with whatever I've got left, so down here at the moment is some coriander, or the Spanish American, which I really quite like now, cilantro, mainly after hearing it off Family Guy. Some choice this is a catch crop. These, you have to plant these every 4 weeks or something, 3 weeks, so these are ready to come out, and I've got some more in the coal frame. I have a batch of cilantro, coriander over there. Pak choy, bok choy, all these are great this year because it's cool and wet, and you can get a really good harvest off your Chinese Asian vegetables. Going over, we have snowball, turnip, and a handy hint for those cooks out there, this tastes exactly the same as daikon or mooli, but instead of it being a winter turnip, it's a summer turnip, and it looks round, but the taste is exactly the same for cooking. Some red Vienna kohlrabi, and there's some white kohlrabi over there, beginning to bulb. These are the last of my brassicas, bar the Chinese veg, which are successional sowing I do, and leave them till quite late, perhaps May really. The beans I kept covered with sheets of glass corrugated plastic over the roots. I germinated them in pots and put them out and kept the plastic over, allowing for cold and so on, and as long as the roots were warm the plants seemed to grow. I will show you what I grown, the varieties I used this year. I don't bother sowing them direct. I think it's a waste of seeds. Yeah, they will come up, but how many times have I heard from people this year that their seeds haven't come up and rotted away in the rain, even in a raised bed? So, no. I do them in pots. Oh, sorry for the jungle work. Even the greenhouse is behind this year. Some 4 weeks, roughly everything's 4 weeks behind. I had a cucumber this time last year. Had a big infestation with green fly. Everywhere did on the plot, not just including greenhouses. Unfortunately I killed some of the leaves on these through super concentrated washing up liquid. However, you can see the chilies are beginning to come along nicely. I will show you the name of these. I love these ones, Corno D something, which we'll have a look at. First cucumbers somewhere, can you see them? There we are. And we have a look down here. I'll show you the varieties outside. Not everything is a fruit or flower. Sorry, there are some flowers. These are hibiscus, cherry pepper somewhere, going red, and over there going red. okra. Again, but okra tend to like non-stop growth, so I wouldn't do them until around May, and I do them in a greenhouse rather than at home, because basically if they can germinate in a greenhouse they can carry on growing. If you do them at home, it doesn't mean the greenhouse is is warm enough to sustain them. These are a project for next year. I'm growing these Capsicum chinesis, Trinidad Butch Scorpion Teal, the Scotch bonnet varieties. If I can get them a few inches high, they'll overwinter at home without too much problem, so I get a head start next year. And that includes some of these beasts down here, which is Trinidad Morega and Hiberno Devil's Tongue. You can do these as annuals, but I've just never succeeded. The season is not long enough in the UK or anywhere of a similar climate. You can buy them online now, I noticed, even in the UK, but order early. I checked, not wanting to buy some, but just checked out in around March and suppliers had sold out. My onions, which is 4MF1, I set these off in compost in around end of January. Those that come up go in, those that don't clearly don't. It means I get minimal gaps. I've re-put the plastic on this. They are in a raised bed. You can see here that is a good foot tall. We are built on the back of a stream, but coupled with this horrendous summer, both in terms of temperature and water, I don't want them rotting off as they're beginning to fall down now. This will speed it up, but more importantly perhaps, right at the end, is my Atlantic Giants seeds I ordered from the States. Absolutely no problems getting here. Took about a week from Joel Holland Seeds. No plug intended. Just thought they were a great service, answered questions appropriately on the email, and not an issue with paying by PayPal, I think. Definitely recommend them, and they really are putting on some growth. I can't grow them as properly as some people out there with huge patches, so I'm trying best I can to keep the vine covered. Nothing particularly set yet, although this fella might have something to say. This is the Bridge of Plenty, a metal wreck, so that then allows the second pumpkin to go and run through. This is a mixture of summer brassicas, including broccoli, Samson F1 and some cauliflower all year round. Can't fail with the all year round. They're beginning to head. I don't know if you can see down there, they're beginning to head, and the broccoli are as well. Pigeons have been a menace this year, and these have been a godsend. They're so easy just to roll up. But I set off them about mid-March. Again, repot them up, pick the best out and keep them in the cold frame. Spring onions, White Lisbon, I've experimented with many types. It's reliable, and if you want to know how to do these, you can overwinter them, but a bad winter knocks half of them out. It's a waste of seed if you ask me. If you germinate them in some light heat from mid-January onwards, I do 2 to 3 trays every 2 to 3 weeks. You get plenty, and they're expensive and really easy to grow once you set them off early. They do like free draining soil, so add a bit of sand if you're like me, and compost built on clay soil. Courgettes, aster and Kojak, for no particular reason other than I had them in stock. The blueberries, I've got 2 baby blueberries here which will eventually be incorporated into the frame. I decided to go whole hog and build a proper fruit frame for these, as they just get stripped apart by the birds. Again, several varieties, so they pollinate and increase numbers, and there's some beginning to purple on there. They're a great fruit. They crop over a long time, and they don't all produce their fruit at the same time. 3 to 4 years before they really start producing, and they do like acidic soil. Bear that in mind. Buying some acaricaceous compost, and I always mulch them with some of those acidic conifer trees. Give them a feed in the spring, and they really respond in kind. They are expensive and they're good. It's worth investing in them. I'm still failing to try and take cuttings off these, but I think I'll have to do a hardwood cutting this year. Out on the edge, well, I have to admit, I don't intend have any plans for the soft fruit this year, which is numerous ribes, black currants and so on. and there is actually a white currant I didn't know I'd placed in there, which will be eaten. Largely I leave those now for the birds. A shame, but I just don't have any plans or time to make use this year. Again, some brassicas. We have cabbage Brunswick. Next year I've got some from the States, which is an Alaskan cabbage, OS improved I think. We'll see how it does in sitting in a cool climate, similar latitude and lots of water. I'm going to try setting some of them off in August, keep them potted up over in the greenhouse for an early start next year. Some of these are purple heading broccoli, cabbage green F1, really reliable. You see how much space I've given them. You still get slug attacks. And in there is one of the purple broccolis, sorry, purple cauliflowers. We do have some names for these, and that's cauliflower de Sicilia Violetto, cabbage Brunswick, cabbage green rich F1, cauliflower all year round. Remember, with the F1s, you put them in. You put 50 in, you get 50 at the same time. It's the same with the broccoli. So be warned. I've learnt with sprouts regarding that to spread them. I looked yesterday and this was growing, it's still growing, it needs to be picked for my tea. We then have the winter brassicas, short curly kale. I'll move back a bit because of this netting. Fuego F1, Tarboy Savoy, Sprout Trafalgar. You probably need staking to this stake soon. Another couple of closely ones here, cabbage Brunswick, and I had a few leftover things including Romanesco cauliflower, which is way too close. If you really want to get a big head on them, you need to give it like almost a metre square and you get a monster, and it comes on over a long period. If you've got the space, worth doing it. And another one in there which is a bit tight, which I think is a winter one I've done before but never had the space to plant out, which is cabbage Langedisk, Langedisk 4, Sprout Red Bull. I had a poor harvest off these last year, and it's my first time I've done red sprouts, so I'm going to say it was beginner's poor luck. And at the end, some Tosca, you know, the Italian curly kale one. I can't find his label. The back is now completed and is lined with wild cherries, the odd filbert, and I do like the wild cherries. And a rhubarb which I split last year. That's the details on the back plot. As I said, with the exception of parsnips, which are up on the front, and carrots, everything was done in a little bit of compost. It does add up, but given the number of blanks I see around on the allotment, I do think it's worthwhile, and it only adds to your soil. There's enough. I think that just about covers all the back. It does help, of course, to have a greenhouse cover, and over there, just behind here, is a cold frame, space for 32 trays, smaller greenhouse which can accommodate 32, 40 trays, and a second one just over here which we'll look at after, again accommodating a number of trays. I think with inclement weather, without getting things ahead, unless you want to buy plugs, and increasingly there's a number of vegetable plug suppliers, fine, but if you want to grow specifics, then you've got no choice but to do your own seeds and trays, and it will require compost and it will require storage space. That's all for now. I'll do the front when I have more battery power. Take care, folks.